Well, hello there. I haven't done a garage video for a while, so I thought, well, since it's kind of winter in Central Oregon, it's time to strip Trudy down here to the bare bones, down to the engine and the frame, and check everything. Put about 9,000 miles on it this year, and as happens with motorcycles, especially motorcycles that get ridden off-road quite a bit, there's a lot of dirt and grime that gets built up underneath there, and sometimes things can come loose. So we're just going to give it a good cleaning and inspection. All right. In order to do that, though, I have to take a whole bunch of stuff off. The seat has to come off. The side panels have to come off. The gas tank actually has to come off, which is this big black thing that goes down both sides here, and to get underneath there. And that takes some time. So I'm going to do it instantaneously is what I'm going to do. And we're going to do a little object lesson once I get it stripped apart. So just like this. Just like that, all that stuff has come off. It looks completely different now, doesn't it? The only actual part that I removed that has to be on the motorcycle for it to run was the fuel tank, which hangs down here. Everything else, mostly cosmetic. But yet when we get underneath it, and I'll bring the camera up closer in a minute, you can see really how dirty this thing has become over this last year of riding all over the state of Oregon. And I wash this bike down every time I take it on any kind of substantial kind of ride, and yet there's still grit and dirt in here and water, hard water deposits almost from mud splashing up in there. And of course, if those things don't get cleaned off over time, they can cause corrosion and things like that. Parts can come a little bit loose, and the only way to know, besides them actually falling off, is to actually take things out and to inspect it and to clean it. Because the cleaner it is, A, the easier it is to work on, and B, the better it's going to run and the longer it's going to last over time. These machines they're just like people are, and we need to be cleansed at times. And so I want to read to you a Bible verse. I'm going to have to grab my glasses here. I took them off because of the glare of the light in the camera, but getting old, gotta have my glasses on. And in 2 Corinthians, Paul writes to the church in Corinth at the time, as he's talking to them, or writing to them about being hooked up with people who worship, idols and false gods, and the pagan gods of the Greeks and the Romans. And what he's encouraging them to do and exhorting them to do is to separate themselves from that. In the 2 Corinthians chapter 6, starting in verse 16, he says, I will dwell in them and walk among them. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And that's something that God had said to the Israelites early on in biblical history. I will dwell in them and walk among them. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. Do not touch what is unclean, and I will receive you. I will be a father to you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. Therefore, having these promises, beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God. We need to cleanse ourselves sometimes too. And yes, we can do that, just on our own, just us and God. But we also need to be together, encouraging each other, reminding each other, and really being there for each other. And that's hard to do when we stay home all the time. I want to encourage you wherever you are, if you regularly attend a church and if you have been skipping it because you're afraid of COVID, do realize this has been going on for at least 9+ months now. And even with all the restrictions that have been put in place on us, it doesn't seem to be getting any better. If you can go to the store and wear a mask and touch everything everybody else has touched in a grocery store, you can come to church. So whether it's our church or anybody else's church or in another town, get back into fellowship. Allow God to take the covering off of you, so to speak, and get in underneath where the grime starts to accumulate. and allow Him to scrub you clean. And you know, God works through people and through each other. And so that's really my message for you today. I didn't have it written down, so I'm just kind of stumbling through it. But I'm going to bring the camera up a little bit closer. You can just see just how complex these things are and how dirty they get, underneath places where you cannot see. So I'm going to move around and grab the camera and take a look. So I don't have any kind of fancy camera and get my shadow out of the camera. I'm getting really close. You can see dust and water spots, dirt, grime. I'll pull up something here. I think. Took the front sprocket cover off to give you an idea. Look at all that good Central Oregon red cinder grit that has accumulated in there. When I took this cover off, unbeknownst to me, there's this little rubber gasket just floating around in there. It looks almost like it was supposed to be attached in here, but it isn't there anymore. So I'll have to look at a parts diagram and see what that thing is actually supposed to do. You can see little tabs on the back. Are they broken off? So it's a good thing I actually took a peek at that and I didn't have that thing grinding away. If it gets caught up in the chain, if it gets wound up in the chain up in here somehow, which could happen eventually, that could make a real mess. So I'm glad I've started my winter maintenance. All right? So we need to do winter maintenance on our souls and our spirits too, and we need to do that together. I hope you have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.